Hello, my name is Thomas Webb. Welcome to another brilliant episode of Feeling Negative videos. So, by now you should have read the information on the Bessa review on the blog. If not, you should go right there now and check it out, because this is what I'm going to be talking about today. We're going to be looking at my Bessa R3M and the functions that I wasn't able to adequately explain on the blog itself. So first off, we have the body, this beautiful camera here. As you can see, it's quite a large lens. It's a 51.1 Nocton, and for comparison we have here a 51.4 lens here, and you can see that the size difference is quite substantial. Is that in the frame? Yes, there we go. Okay, so yeah, brilliant lens, fantastic. 50mm is like basically my go-to. However, there are other lenses available, and I did buy a few at the time to supplement my kit. So, first off, we have a 35 2.5. You can see just there. Okay, now this is extremely small. I'm not sure if you can see the pancake size sort of thing, and it has a little finger knob for focusing, because it is so tiny. And basically, to clip it onto the Bessa, you depress the button to release the lens, which is hidden by the Nocton because it is very large. Twist it off just like that, and it's basically an M-mount camera, and you line up the dots just like that. And as you can see, very low profile, perfect for street shooting. However, you do need an external viewfinder on that. Now, rather than pay for the official Voigtlander one, I went and bought a Russian second-hand one. So that's what we have in this little case here. Comes in a handy carry case. And basically this is just a 35mm frame line viewfinder, external viewfinder. This pops onto your hot shoe just like this. And it's fantastic for street shooting, and you just, hyperfocal focusing sort of thing. You guess the distance, that sort of thing. You can still focus as normal with the lens here, but your frame lines aren't accurate enough, so you've got to use the external finder, and I find it much easier just to use the finder. Speaking of frame lines, not sure if you can see just here the frame line selector. Very easy to reach while you're using it. Just make sure that you preset the one that you actually want before you start using it, because when you set it on the 40, it doesn't actually line up for the 50, as I found by practice. Now, very easy, works the same as most other cameras. Obviously, film advance here, shutter release here, shutter dial right here. Now, as I mentioned on the blog, there is a handy feature which stops you from opening the back. So if you can see here, if we just pull this up like that, the back doesn't open. But if I pull it up like that and flick the little lever, now I can open up the back. Shutter curtain in there, obviously, normal sort of film looking body, etc, etc. There's a little film window there, which obviously you would have to cover up when you're shooting infrared film. On the bottom we've got battery, which just controls the light meter, tripod mount of course, and film release when you're rewinding. Yeah, okay, so apart from that, it's pretty standard. However, what we have here is the 12mm 5.6. Now this is quite a large lens. I'm not sure if you can actually see it in the video here. Now when this is mounted onto the body, just like this, it sticks out quite a fair way. Now this is actually the screw mount version of this lens. When I bought this lens, the M mount wasn't available. So what I'm using is a screw mount or an M39 to M mount or Leica mount adapter, and it just pops on like you would use any normal adapter. Now I also talk about the lens hood. As you can see here, it's actually on incorrect. So what you need to do is you need to make sure it's basically just a screw, and you line it up so that the corners are even, the top is focused like that, and you can see how the petals are shaped just right so that you won't get any vignetting over here. Now you can easily pop this off and replace it with this filter ring here. Now, as I mentioned, this filter ring is very, very large, and it takes 77mm filters. Just bear with me while I get this on. It's a little bit tight for some reason. Okay, so it takes 77mm filters, which is getting into the expensive territory, especially if you're looking at 10-stop ND filters and that sort of thing, and also in B&W IR filters as well. You're looking for big money, and I've found that with a filter in practice, it actually does cause quite a fair bit of vignetting. Now, what I thought for comparison is, I mentioned on the blog that it's similar in size or similar in weight to a 70s SLR. While that's accurate, I thought it would be fair to compare apples and apples rather than apples and oranges. So, for comparison, we have on my side here a Electro 35 GSN. Now, I'll put the 50mm back on just for point of comparison. Normally I would use a yellow filter because I shoot mainly black and white, that's why that's here. And just before I forget, this is the actual filter for the 12mm. Now, I'm not sure if this will work, but if I hold it up to there, you can probably see, well, probably not see, but it's quite large, and it's very, very massive field of view. Again, works on the hot shoe just like the 35mm filter. Now, side by side, you can see that these cameras are both quite large. In fact, the 35 GSN is actually heavier, even though it's only got a 41.7 lens. Oh, actually, no, they're probably about the same weight. But the 35 GSN feels a little bit bulkier to me in my hands, but it could be that I'm just used to shooting with this one a lot more. This one is kind of like my go-to camera. When I walk out of the house and I want a camera with me, this is the one I take. Obviously 1.1, it's brilliant for every situation, and me being a portrait shooter primarily, I very much prefer depth of field and also with the filter. Obviously there are numerous other lenses you could get for it, and as I said in the blog post, this camera actually takes M-mount lenses and vice versa, so by the time I eventually upgrade to some sort of Leica, and dare I say it, blasphemy, an M9, all my current lenses will fit onto that. Additionally, also if I go to something like an M6 or something like that, all my lenses will fit and work exactly the same. Not in comparison, but equally so, when I finally get the money to get a 50mm Summilux or something, you know, like a beautiful Leica lens, it will also fit on this. Or if I can get the Canon 0.95 Dream lens converted, it will fit on this because it's all M mount. Now, that's basically it. Again, if you haven't read the post above, you should be reading it before watching this, but since you've now watched this, go and read the post now. Yes, as I said, I'm Thomas Webb, and thank you for watching another Feeling Negative video production.